Welcome to part 2 of my quest to find the limiter with the cleanest bass. There's a new kit on the block, and since I have the demo installed, why not? We'll start again with a sine wave at 41 Hz and -3 decibels level. This time we'll focus on the spectrums using Melda Productions' incredibly useful multi-analyzer. The pure sine wave has no harmonic distortion. FabFilter's Pro L2 produces a third harmonic at -84 dB, which is well below audible level. Ozone's Maximizer IRC4 Modern at default setting is basically a fuzzbox. I'll try and improve that later. Softube's Vice Compressor Limiter is basically perfect, whereas Ozone's IRC3 balance setting with character set at 6 is still creating audible harmonic distortion. The new kit, simply called Limiter by Mastering the Mix, is on the edge at -64 dB, but also appears to have high-level noise mixed in. Since Ozone's attack and release curves are very fast, it's possible to reduce the distortion by increasing the character setting. While I'm at it, I'll do the same with Ozone's IRC3 balanced algorithm. It's important to remember that Ozone's character setting adjusts both the attack and release times. Now that all the limiters are relatively clean at 41 Hz, let's see what the result of the tweaks are with pulses instead of continuous tone. The pulses are at a higher frequency to make clean waveforms, but should not change the results in any way. The linear decay of the pulse makes perfect triangles, so it will be easy to see the effect each limiter has on the shape of the signal. Pro L2 demonstrates what textbook limiting should look like. The tops of the pulse have been squished downward without affecting the signal below the threshold. Ozone's IRC4 with the new character setting appears to have squished the peaks and bloated the top of the signal. This alone confirms that IRC4 is not a transparent limiting algorithm. The Vice limiter looks good, and if I zoom in and overlay it with Ozone's IRC3, we see they are almost identical. Although Ozone has a weird little kink where it's limiting. Definitely not audible, but certainly not expected. Limiter is the strangest of the lot. It's thinning out the signal at the threshold where Ozone made it fatter. The next test uses quick pulses to see how the limiters affect the signal with short intervals. Once again, Pro L2 looks as expected. The peaks are flattened without changing the shape of the signal below the threshold. Ozone's wave trace is not what I expected. It looks like the transients have been reduced by 3 dB, and then the signal is further reduced to -6 dB momentarily, which invokes the release and forms bubbles between the peaks. The Vice and Ozone IRC3 are similar to the Pro L2 and are almost identical to each other. The new kit is looking a lot more like Ozone's IRC4, and makes me think these two limiters are trying to do something clever, but not necessarily succeeding. I was curious to see if I could recreate Ozone's unusual bloating by making custom attack or release curves in Melda Productions' M Dynamics plugin. I'll fast forward through the process as that's a tutorial in itself. I had a theory that Ozone was in fact maximizing the signal as well as limiting. Maybe iZotope called it Maximizer for a reason. The surprising thing for me was how I managed to replicate the Ozone result by adding both maximizing and a wide soft knee attack. Testing my custom curve with the rapid pulses shows a similar result which I could probably replicate exactly with a custom release curve. The final test is limiting a drum bus. I set all limiters to reduce the snare peak by 6 decibels and then lined up the momentary loudness traces to 3 loudness units. No surprise that the two traces that differ from the rest are Ozone's IRC4 and Mastering the Mix's limiter. They are compressing about 1 dB more immediately after the transient and then maximized by 1 to 2 dB for the rest of the signal. The Pro L2, Vice, and Ozone IRC3 loudness traces are identical, The only difference is in the amount of transient reduction, which is less than 1 dB between them. My conclusions are probably obvious by now. FabFilter's Pro L2 gets my gold medal. It's transparent and the most flexible. Silver goes to Softube's Vice Compressor Limiter, as it is just brilliant. Not forgetting, it's basically a one-button safety limiter on a mastering quality compressor. Bronze goes to the Ozone Maximizer, as it's very capable, but the limitations of the character control is restrictive, and the intelligent modes seem to be focused on louder over transparent. And finally, mastering the Mix's limiter gets a participation ribbon. There are dozens of excellent limiter plugins out there, but few can compete with these three when it comes to clean bass. Thanks for watching.